Of course. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So you already know to my audience. So once again, can you tell a small introduction?
Yeah, for sure. I'm Kat Bergman, also known as the Healthy Influencer, and I help young professionals heal their gut and reclaim their energy through sustainable efforts for life longevity of good health.
So last time I asked few questions. Today I have a few important questions. So my mom also asked me yesterday that so if you eat certain kind of foods, you will get certain uh, kind of vitamins to the body, so that your body takes it and responds differently according to the situation and according to the climate. So can you elaborate it?
Sure. So that's kind of a multifold question. Each of our bodies have different responses to different foods based on our gut biome. So some of us will be sensitive to gluten or certain fruits like bananas or something like that, meaning if we eat that stuff, one person might have a good reaction to it and can use the vitamins appropriately, and another person might have a negative reaction and cause like an inflammatory response in the body, and then those vitamins and things won't be absorbed as easily because of the extra stress on the body. So that's one way to look at it. We need to know what foods actually fuel our particular gut biome because of the things that we can process well. Those kinds of things are known as like a food sensitivity if our body starts to react negatively to them. And there's a test for that if people don't want to do like an elimination diet. But also a thing to consider with how we eat our food is the state of our body in terms of its stress levels. So like if we're eating food like really quickly, scarfing it down, not taking time to put our body into a parasympathetic, also known as like a rest and digest state, then the food that we consume won't be completely broken down. The body is going to be using its internal energy reserves for other aspects of our day-to-day. Being in a heightened stress state, it's not sending blood and resources to the digestive system. It's sending it to be able to like fight or flight and get our adrenaline or other hormones pumping because it's like on high alert. So and that's a big issue, especially in America where we don't slow down to eat our food anymore. Even like in the workplace, it's like eating while we're, at the computer, not taking time to actually like focus on our food. So that will hurt our ability to absorb some of the nutrients in the food as well. And then the last thing to consider is the healthiness of our gut itself. Like if it's been compromised from prolonged stress or eating, foods that don't agree with us for long periods of time, our digestive tract itself can be weakened, and that we can have issues like lower acidic capability within the stomach. Like we don't have enough hydrochloric acid to break down the food. We have that leaky gut syndrome I was talking about last time where the cells of our gut wall are weakened and it allows food particles to and proteins and things to escape into the blood, which would cause an inflammatory reaction in the body instead of keeping it all where it belongs. And if we have those things going on, then the body's not able to get all of the nutrients it needs out of the food as well. So I think I answered your question. It's a 3-part at least full question in terms of how our bodies will be able to successfully process all the food that we eat and turn it into a viable like energy source and things like that.
So all the human bodies are under one climate, right? So for example, in a particular land, there are different human bodies are there. So everybody is consuming the same oxygen and same foods. But why people are reacting differently for different things and different situations for different uh, uh, people? Why everybody are not same?
So are we talking about why is everyone not the same in the same climate? Like
Yeah, climate is same, food is same.
yeah.
land is same, but people are thinking differently. Why?
Yeah, so that comes down to our personal exposures day to day. Everyone's going to have a different toxic exposure, like during their days, whether it's the water they consume, the air that they breathe. If someone is hanging out with dogs or other animals that are prone to like carry parasites, then we might be subject to having that within our body as well, which would cause a reaction. Our own genetic material influences how our body can process some certain foods. Like if someone has celiac disease, they're not going to be able to handle gluten, even if a brother of the same exact climate, same household, eats the same foods, might not have that genetic disposition. There could be other things in terms of like medicines and like other drugs and interactions that we take in the body that could change the way our body responds or reacts to certain things because our environment, our guts have changed over time in response to those other things that we're putting into our body. And also people, the frequency in which they eat foods could also change the way their body reacts. So you might not be sensitive to eating oranges, but if you eat 10 oranges every day for 10 years, then your body starts to get overwhelmed seeing the same thing all the time, and it will become sensitive to it over time. So that's something to consider too. People who are eating the same things but at different frequencies might have a different reaction to them.
Is that possible for a human being to calculate everything and consume it?
Yeah, I think I live by the model of just variety. So it's pretty arbitrary, but the way I've been taught is to try to do like food rotations and not eat the same food more than 3 days in a row, just to make sure you're constantly giving your body a different variety of food sources to process so that it keeps the microbiome viable. Because if you only feed it, 3 foods every day, then the certain bacteria and other pathogens in our body that are healthy for us, only a certain population of those will be fed by the food that we're consuming, and the other populations will die off. So then the variety that our gut biome has will decrease, and then it'll decrease our ability to handle new foods because we don't have the, bacteria A and bacteria B in a party together. We just keep the A's around because of the food that we eat, if that makes sense.
So coming to the mindset, coming about the mindset, accepting and rejecting. This is there in the mind. So we accept things and we reject things. Why this happens? Why this negative and the positive energy is there?
So are you indicating that our mindset influences if our body can handle certain foods?
Yeah. Not only foods. I'm talking about the communication between human beings, the rejecting and accepting for decision. It influences in making decisions. Why this is there? Positive and negative energy. What happens in the mind when you observe things using with your senses?
That's a big question too. So I'll start with just from the food aspect. Like if you're really anxious eating something, like I'm allergic to peanut butter. So if I were to like think about it a lot, like, oh my gosh, if I eat this peanut butter, I'm going to get really sick. I'm going to die. Like that's causing a chemical and an energetic reaction in my body. Like you almost create your reality because if I'm thinking in the anxious state, then my body responds accordingly and it thinks there's something wrong and it's like getting ready to fight. So then my immune system's like on like hyperactive mode already. So then if I were to eat something, even if it's not peanut butter, but I thought it was peanut butter, like I might actually have a reaction because I told my body that it needed to have that reaction. So from an energetic standpoint, all of us are connected in our own bodies like that way, but also like with other people. So like our heart center and our brains have a certain magnetic field, and human to human interactions, we actually feel each other's fields. So if you're operating in a lower energy state, so you're feeling mad, depressed, those kind of lower vibrational energies, and you come in contact with someone who is full of joy and happiness, they're a higher energy state, like frequency, like literally the vibrations coming off of their body are higher than what yours would be. So one of two things could happen. The higher energy folk could influence you and bring you up a couple notches and raise your frequency, or the person operating in the lower frequency could lower the higher energy person's energy. So that's where the energetic influence comes from, and then it comes with the mental part, the observation of those energies, if you're going to choose to allow someone's energy to affect you or not. Because you can be the passive observer and just say, oh, that person's having a really off day, like I send them love and kindness, but I'm not going to accept any of their negativity. Then you're like protecting your energy. You can share it with them, but you're not going to allow them to affect you. But if we're not aware of our energy states at all, then energy is going to do its thing without us knowing it. And I think that happens like in partnerships and relationships, if people aren't paying too close attention to like if they're allowing the energy exchange or not. Like if my partner comes home and has had a really bad day, before I know it, I'm also in a really bad mood. I'm like, I thought I had a good day, but because I'm allowing his energy to affect me, that's where that exchange can happen too. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. So we communicate by observing things using our senses, right? So when a human being stops, the senses stops responding, which means the senses dies. It stops responding to us. So I know few people claims that we are communicating with the dead senses. We can able to communicate with the dead senses, and we can understand what they are trying to tell us. Is this possible, or they are just imagining this?
We're talking about dead in like a metaphorical sense, right? They're not actually like dead
Yeah.
humans.
Yeah, dead. Yeah, they say that they are talking with the dead bodies.
So you mean, are we talking more about like mediums who like speak with the souls of the dead?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the experience that they have with that body.
Yeah. So from my understanding with that like theory of thought, and it's one I'm still exploring, it's souls, energy isn't created or destroyed, right? So the energy in a human, the soul, the life force has to go somewhere when we pass away, and that can be either reincarnated or go back into the atmosphere, I guess. So people who communicate with those beings are talking directly to the source energy, and they're not talking to the vessel of our bodies that holds the energy. But that's a little outside of my scope of understanding. But that's what I've heard from my own research and interactions and stuff, that it is possible because the energy it's neither created or destroyed, right? So they're still communicating with it in some form, just not the form that we're used to.
So you're studying about the mindset, right? So can you tell me about the strange mindset that you observed in your experience?
The strangest mindset? I don't know if that's the best way to phrase it, because I find every person's mindset unique and interesting, and something to learn from, and gauge my own experience from if I want to be more like them or not. I think you can observe both things in the best capacities for each type of mindset. If it's something that you want to incorporate in your own life, or if it's something that you don't want to incorporate in your own life, you can use it as a good messenger. I think it's, I think some people will struggle more with corralling and being the like designer of their mindset than other people, because of like chemical imbalances and things like that that add an extra barrier to having a stable mindset and like being able to be the powerhouse of your own mind kind of thing. So those ones that I would find would probably be the most challenging, not interesting, but so like people who suffer from, you know, borderline personality disorder, or like severe anxiety, things like that. And I also think that food and the mindset, as we talked about before, it's a chicken and the egg problem. So it's hard to say with the research that's being done out there, but they're doing more research to show like what we consume affects our predisposition for some of these ailments, and then if we have one of those, then it affects what we eat, kind of thing, right? So I have good faith that if we start cleaning up our diets and the things that we eat and put more nourishing foods in our body that our body agrees with, then some of these, the building blocks that we need to have a healthy brain system will be rebuilt. And then some of those challenging mindsets will be easier to manage, basically. So kind of answered your question in a roundabout way.
Yeah, this is enough for now. Thank you for giving me your time again and letting me ask 2 questions.
Yeah, for sure. Next week's questions will be more fun. You're keeping me on my toes.
Yeah, definitely. Can I put this video and audio clip on my YouTube channel, social media, podcast, website, everywhere with your permission?
Yes, of course. Look forward
Yeah.
to seeing it.
Thank you, Kat. Keep doing what you love.
Thanks, Sai. We'll talk soon.
Bye.